Hey, Collateral Cinema listeners, Chazzle Dazzle here from the Trial by Air Variety Show podcast. Just taking a few seconds to invite you guys over to what we do. Much like Collateral Cinema, we are a grassroots podcast. We invite bands from all over the world to come in and we dig deep into their souls and find really cool stories to tell you, and there's tons of music every week. So subscribe to us wherever you subscribe to your podcast. We look forward to having you.
Tonight on the Director's Cut, it's part 2 of our Nightmare on Elm Street franchise review. So stick around. The show starts right now. Welcome to Collateral Cinema Director's Cut. I'm Bo Maddox.
I'm Robert Oregon.
And we're podcasting straight from somewhere in South Texas. And yes, my friends, we are a 420 friendly podcast. So whatever you have, smoke it if you've got it. And welcome to part 2 of our Nightmare on Elm Street franchise review. That's kind of poetic, right?
Yeah. Can't believe you said it all that fast. No.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I'm just kind of on, what's the word?
Energetic about it.
Yeah, I'm on my second wind, I guess.
You go. Yeah.
There you go. And yeah, we're talking about the last few movies in the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. On part 1, we talked about the first 4, right?
Yeah, so we'll be talking about part 5, 6, and 7.
Yeah, which is Dream Child, Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare, and New Nightmare.
Wes Craven's New Nightmare.
Wes Craven's New Nightmare.
Yeah.
There we go.
Because we just got done watching the film, right?
Yeah, we got done watching that, and we're watching Freddy versus Jason right now. I don't know if we reiterated it before on the previous episode, but we're not really going to talk about that one specifically because, I mean, it just...
That's its own episode I think we're saving for, right?
Yeah, that's it. That's its own episode. That's what that's going to be.
Because we didn't talk about it on the Friday the 13th series either, right? I mean, the Director's Cut Friday the 13th series, the part 1 and 2 that you guys need to check out.
Yeah, definitely. Check that out as well. Yeah, we went through the entire Friday the 13th franchise. Good old Jason Voorhees and the like. And I guess we'll go ahead and just dive into this next movie, Dream Child, which, oh man, I really don't think that this movie is that great at all, honestly.
Yeah, you know, I don't watch it as much as I do the original 4.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that, 4 is about where the classic era of Nightmare on Elm Street kind of ends, and 5 is where we start seeing a really even more comical and, one-liner style of Freddy Krueger. I mean, do you think that this was a good move for them? I mean,
I guess they just ran out of stuff to do. How far are they going to milk it? But I'm not knocking them. I'll go back and watch them again and just have fun watching all that. But yeah, part 1 through 4 is actually the cutoff the cutoff films for me, really.
Yeah. And Dream Child is also part of another kind of internal trilogy here as well. Yeah, it starts with Dream Warriors,
the Dream Warrior Kids,
then Dream
Masters, yeah.
and then Dream Child.
Exactly.
I mean, and this is the saga of Alice, right? Alice is kind of the main character throughout this trilogy.
Actually, she's the final girl for 2 films, right?
I think she is. Yeah, she's pretty much the Tommy Jarvis of this series, right?
There you go. It's kind of a Tommy Jarvis series.
Yeah, kind of, sort of. And while I thought that Dream Warriors was really, really strong and Dream Master was a good continuation of that, this right here, I don't know. It just really falls flat in so many ways. We get a campier Freddy here, and I mean, I don't know. I don't really feel like this is the best representation of that type of Freddy, right?
Yeah, I think they're trying to stretch it for as long as they can, really. But
it seems that way.
The Final Nightmare, where it's looking for Freddy's kid, right?
Yeah, that's more or less. Yeah, they're trying to figure
we'll
out.
Talk about that.
Yeah, we'll talk about that here in a little bit.
Let's keep it on part 5. Okay.
But throughout this movie, the dream sequences usually involve the dream child himself, whose name is Jacob. That's Alice's kid.
Yeah.
And I really, really like that one scene. I've got to bring this up because I've just been quoting this so much ever since we watched this. There's that scene where she's channeling an image of her baby in the womb, and Freddy is there, and he's just all like, see the family resemblance? And then you see like the souls of her friends going into his umbilical cord, and Freddy is just like, feeding time, soul food for my boy.
Soul food.
Oh my God, that is like my favorite quote out of the entire fucking franchise. I love that to bits. I don't know why. Like, just soul food for my boy.
Just feeding Jacob souls.
Feeding him souls, yeah.
So Freddy can stay alive.
Yeah. This isn't the movie where he serves the pizza and all the meatballs are like her friend's souls. Is that Dream Master or is that Dream Warriors?
That's part 4, right?
That's part 4, yeah. Yeah, that's
like,
the movie that
Rick,
precedes
you
this.
little meatball.
Oh, God, that's so disgusting. Like, I think that's probably one of the things that made me go vegan was just seeing that shit.
Like a cheese pizza with the meatballs on it, dude.
Oh, God, you're making me want to vomit, dude. Like, seriously.
It's like too much cheese. It's like double cheese, dude. Too much.
God damn it. I hate that shit.
I'm a pepperoni sausage type of pizza dude.
Yeah, I bet you are, Robert.
Yeah, very good.
Damn.
You know what's the best pizza is? Like Peter Piper pizza.
I remember Peter Piper.
Remember that, dude?
I remember Peter Piper from back in the day. My family would go out to eat there like at least once or twice a month, maybe. And that was around the time that the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade game came out. And also, like, you had Operation Wolf and all that, and the Terminator 2 shoot 'em up.
Yeah,
everything.
dude.
Yeah, I mean, we would just get tons of quarters, and we would just go and just play a lot of games and eat pizza. We would order at least a couple of pizzas, but...
Bunch of tokens.
Yeah.
Play a bunch of foosball.
Those were good times, and Peter Piper is still a thing these days as well.
Yeah, I mean, you can come in and still bring your family.
Oh, yeah.
Wear your face mask.
But anyway, back to Dream Child. Like, seriously, I really don't care for Robert Englund's portrayal of Freddy here. I just, it just doesn't work for me. I don't know why. I mean, this iteration is fine in, Final Nightmare and in Freddy vs. Jason, but here it just isn't a good introduction to that side of Freddy.
The same with the new Nightmare. It's just I didn't fall for that either.
Yeah, New Nightmare is a whole nother can of worms, which we'll get into here in a little bit. But Robert, what did you think about the kills in Dream Child and some of the special effects? What did you kind of feel about that?
Oh man, I think we're still kind of leaving off from part 4, right?
Yeah, and there were decent effects in part 4.
Yeah,
and everything.
I mean, I can go back and watch that one because it's one of my very first ones, really.
Is that the one with Roach Girl?
Yeah, Roach Motel Girl.
Yeah, Roach Motel Girl. Oh man, it's like those effects were so intricate, honestly. Like, actually pretty well done for its time, I think.
Oh yeah. Anyway, the kill scene with her Alice's boyfriend again, like he's trying to do it one more time, and then he's like, he puts his foot into the damn gas pedal.
Yeah, the gas pedal. Yeah.
I don't know, man. That was weird. Like, I don't know, like he welded him to the car.
And then he turns into like a Kamen Rider, or no, he turns into Spawn whenever he's on the.
We were talking about that,
that's
dude.
Spawn on the motherfucking motorcycle.
Like he formed into the damn bike, dude. That was crazy special effects.
I know. That was so fucking weird. And Freddy is just dropping one-liners left and right, and a lot of them are just groan-inducing. It's just, oh my God. But hey, there's also soul food for my boy.
Soul food.
Oh my God, I'm going to be quoting that for like years now. Just soul food for my boy.
These are my children, Jason.
These are my children, Jason.
My children, Jason.
What are your overall final thoughts about Nightmare 5?
You know, I only watch it every once in a while. That's probably because I haven't seen it in a while, and then the fact that I do watch it, I remember why I haven't seen it.
Yeah, it's a pretty quick reminder, right?
It's like, just you only need to watch 1 through 4, really.
Yeah, I mean, even the worst Friday the 13th movie is still very watchable, and even more watchable than this movie here.
Yeah, see, going back to like 1 and 2, I can replay part 2 over and over, though. I don't know.
Yeah, I accept those as standalone movies.
Yeah.
The first 2 Nightmares. That's really what those are. Like, you have the introduction to the character and kind of a little bit of an experiment with the character of Freddy.
The Jesse guy, because he's trying to live through him, right?
Yeah.
So that's pretty crazy.
Yeah. But I think that this movie is just not that great. I mean, there's some so bad it's funny lines here or there. And the special effects, they do kind of continue to be pretty decent. But it's just the least remarkable movie in the entire franchise. Like, I just can't really get behind it. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah. But after that, we have the final Nightmare, Freddy's Dead. And once again, there's not a whole lot that I remember from this movie. It's kind of a blur.
Which is supposed to be the final chapter in the franchise.
It's the final chapter of the franchise. This is the Jason Goes to Hell of this franchise. I mean, Robert, from what do you recall? I mean, what was this movie about ultimately?
It's one of the last guys in Elm Street, and then Freddy's trying to get to his nightmare.
Oh, yeah.
And then I forgot.
Yeah, that's right. By this point, like,
he keeps throwing them through a series of dream sequences.
Yeah. By this point, there's no children in town, right?
Yeah, he's like the last one left, and then like his house is like in the air. He keeps waking up from dream sequences, and his house falls down from like space onto Elm Street again, and then. You know, he's trying to get out of Elm Street, and it's like breaking fourth walls here, trying to get out.
Yeah, it almost becomes like a Groundhog's Day loop, right?
Yeah, and then I think he smashes his head on a rock, and then like wakes up with amnesia.
Ooh, wow.
And he thinks he's like Freddy's kid, you know?
Oh, that's right. Because, I mean, remember in the previous movie, you know, Alice had pretty much Freddy's kid, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, this movie had some interesting points to it. I mean, is this the one where the girl is fed to death?
Overfed to death?
Yeah. Is that this movie?
Huh.
Or am I thinking about the previous fucking movie? Because like I said, these movies, they drop off in quality to such a degree that they just become kind of a blur.
Yeah. You kind of get them all confused. Mostly.
Yeah, it just becomes kind of a gelatinous mass of 80s gore effects and, you know, Robert Englund as Campy Freddy.
It's the first Freddy of like the 90s, right?
Yeah, it's the first 90s Freddy, and it's pretty much the Freddy of our generation.
Because what followed that was what was it, Freddy's Nightmares or something, right?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
2 seasons.
But we'll get into that here in a second. What are some of the more memorable kills from the final Nightmare?
The final Nightmare? Huh. Probably when that Spencer dude is like, I don't know. I mean, some good moments. I don't know.
See what I mean about these movies? They're just a blur.
I don't think it's like he's really killing them until he's messing with them, and then, you know, up until the final kill moment, right?
That's where you have Freddy playing video games, right?
Yeah, and he puts on the Power Glove, Nintendo Power Glove.
The Power Glove, it's like great graphics. Great graphics. Like, that's right. Power Glove.
That was like really promoting the Power Glove, dude.
I know, right? And the game that he was playing, like, he threw the stoner character in there, and
Spencer, he looked like a Home Alone dude, like playing Home Alone. I don't know.
Yeah, but he had all those overbearing dads around him that he had to overcome and everything.
Probably Dennis the Menace. I don't know.
But in real time, he's running around the house, jumping like fucking Mario,
Yeah.
like doing platforming and shit. It's just kind of ridiculous.
That's where it gets cool because he like smokes a joint and then he's like mellowed out and he falls into a trance, like this hippie trance, going into the TV when you see Johnny Depp, right?
Yeah, oh yeah, Johnny Depp is on TV for a little bit.
It's like, this is your brain on drugs with the egg, right?
And that makes sense, you know, because I think it's canon that Freddy pretty much absorbs the souls of the children that he kills. That's pretty much canon. So it makes sense that he would bring Johnny Depp's character back to use to taunt the characters in this final movie.
Exactly.
So, I mean, it's kind of fitting.
And Johnny Depp is ageless and timeless.
Oh, yes, he is. I'm glad that he's back on with the new Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah.
That's going to be interesting, at least.
Hell yeah.
But, Robert, what are your final thoughts on The Final Nightmare?
I have no problem watching it because I do like the soundtrack to that movie.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's not as bad as Part 5, which I don't really need to see putting on Part 5 anymore, really.
Yeah, I kind of get what you're saying. I mean, it's a little bit more watchable than Part 5 is, but to me, just barely.
Barely, and I don't know. It's kind of another backstory, how Freddy formed and trying to find his kid, you know?
Yeah, we get a little bit of backstory about his family life a little bit.
Exactly. Before he turned into that monster and before the town freaking burned him.
Well, he was already the monster.
He was already a monster.
I mean, he was trying to hide it from his wife and his kid and everything.
And we actually see, like, forms of him from, like, a kid and, like doing something to a rat, right?
Oh, yeah. He takes a rat out in class out of the cage and then just takes a little hammer and starts bashing it.
Beating it.
And all the kids are taunting him, saying, "Son of 1,000 maniacs."
Yeah.
I mean, is that the movie that starts with Miss Kruger being locked into the asylum with all of the maniacs?
That's probably some pieces of Part 5, right?
Some pieces of Part 5, you think?
I'm thinking.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, it's a blur.
Son of 1,000 maniacs.
Yeah, these movies are such a blur that I'm just like, I can't find my grounding here, you know?
Yeah, it shows the Amanda Kruger story just being held in over the holidays, right?
Yeah.
For like a whole week.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, that's horrifying. But in the end, Freddy does meet his demise here, and it's at the hand of his daughter, which is actually kind of a twist because initially we have a male character who believes that he is Freddy's kid.
I think it's the amnesia in the fact that he is the last Elm Street kid.
Yeah.
And in this one, they try to pop an Elm Street like on every corner, right?
Yeah.
I'm thinking he's trying to get outside because there's nobody left on Elm Street, right?
Yeah. Could you imagine an outbreak of Freddy Krueger like outside of Springwood?
Oh man, that is a mass panic, mass hysteria thing going on.
Oh, that would be horrifying, honestly.
You could not quarantine that, man. Look.
Yeah. And it's kind of interesting to note how they actually treat Freddy kind of like a dangerous virus a little bit, right?
It's like that'll spread, dude.
Yeah, it's something that will spread. It's kind of like in the SCP Foundation canon. It's called it's the field of amnestics, I believe. It's a cognito hazard. You know, it's something that actually like inculcates your brain into doing something or believing something or even forgetting something, and it's an external force. So it's kind of like that, you know. Like it spreads kind of via like being a meme more than anything. Like, I mean, Freddy Krueger could be any type of urban legend or any type of, you know, internet creepypasta mythology in these days if it came out today.
Kind
to be
supernatural thing.
Yeah, kind of a little bit like Slender Man.
Yeah, kind of like the whole Sam and Dean Winchester supernatural.
Yeah, exactly.
You could probably come right from the computer, right?
Yeah. definitely.
Your laptop, like,
Yeah, exactly.
wouldn't even know, right?
But I mean, Final Nightmare, it's kind of a fitting end to the series. I mean, it's just as well that the series ended as early as it did, I think.
Oh, then we see Roseanne and Tom Arnold.
Oh, that's right. Roseanne and Tom Arnold are randomly in this fucking movie. It's so insane. It's like, wow, that's right. That was a thing in the 90s.
That Roseanne, dude. Yeah. Everybody.
Oh, how far she has fallen. My lord. Too bad. Too bad. But yeah, Tom Arnold and Roseanne Arnold at the time. And the hilarious thing is in the credits, they're credited as Mr. and Mrs. Tom Arnold. Like, what the fuck is that, right?
Need to get some credit, right? They called it the Roseanne Show, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So, part 5.
We're not talking about part 5.
We're talking about the New Nightmare.
We're talking about, no, let's finish
I
up
feel like
on-
we didn't bring up enough of the kill scenes in part 5 either. I don't know.
What other kill scenes in part 5 do you
Remember
think?
with the ear when he drops the pin on the floor? I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
And then his head explodes. He just drops a bunch of needles, dude. I don't know.
Well, shit. I
That was
mean,
weird.
since we're finishing up the series here, it's like, well, why don't we, before we talk about New Nightmare, why don't we talk about some of our favorite kills from the series? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, that's one notable kill.
I feel like there wasn't very too much of them in part 5, really, either.
Not really.
So,
I really liked the kills in part 3 in Dream Warrior.
oh.
You know, like the whole angle with the kids having the powers, you know, how even though they fight back, Freddy still, you know, takes them down. Like for instance, you know, Billy Badass Girl, you know what I'm talking about? You know, I'm bad and beautiful.
Ooh.
It's like, yeah, I mean, she kind of is hoisted by her own petard, which is kind of a theme throughout the Nightmare franchise, but Freddy just, you know, injects her with heroin from his needle claws, which is an interesting way to kind of incorporate her addiction into her kill. You know, it is kind of symbolic like that.
Yeah, now that you mention it, part 3 was the shit.
Yeah. I mean, you can't, you know, discount
The original
and the sequel. I mean,
part 2.
yeah, Grady's death in the sequel is pretty cool.
Oh,
you know,
oh,
yeah, that's chilling. You know, like, you know, when Homeboy just turns into Freddy and then he just comes at Grady and his dad is just desperately trying to beat him down the door and everything, but it's just too fucking late.
it's a wooden door, bro.
Yeah.
Damn.
And also, there's the scene with the coach. I mean, the whole sadomasochistic angle there, you know, with the leather bar and everything. It's like, I mean, yeah. Once again, go back and listen to our previous episode. You'll hear us talk about that particular subtext. And in the original, I mean, you had the first killing in the franchise, Nancy's friend.
Oh, the wall splatter scene.
The wall splatter scene, yeah.
Freaking exorcist up on the wall type thing.
Which, interestingly enough, is referenced in the next movie we're going to talk about and the final movie we're going to talk about tonight. And that's Wes Craven's New Nightmare, which is this really weird kind of meta-narrative on the Nightmare franchise. Like, I mean, Heather Langenkamp plays herself. You have Robert Englund playing himself. You have Wes Craven appearing and playing himself. And also John Saxon as well.
Oh, legendary John Saxon.
Yeah, may he rest in peace. But I remember this movie being a lot better than what I saw now. Like, we watched it just a little while ago, and it underwhelmed me a little bit.
Oh, you forgot the Haley Joe Pet Cemetery kid.
Oh, yeah, the Haley Joel Osment. Why do we have more Haley Joel Osment kids,
I
man?
don't know, man. Like,
Man, why do we have to have Haley Joels?
why does that have to be a thing? Like,
I know, it's like, that's pretty much a fucking trope by this point.
freaking signs and what else, man? Like the Ring. You got all your little weird little kids.
Sixth Sense.
Sixth Sense, yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Haley Joe. That's what we mean by that. Other than AI, right?
Yep.
That was good though.
Well, somebody had to play Anakin. Somebody had to do it. Right? Yeah, too bad. Too bad it had to be him. But yeah, I mean, the whole thing with this movie is that apparently there's this demon that apparently takes Freddy's form and has grown so accustomed to it that that's just the form he's using to break into our reality. And he's pretty much just using the whole concept of Freddy's dream world to kind of gain strength so he can cross over into our world.
From the new script.
From the new script, exactly. Yeah. And that's where things get a little complicated here.
It's like, what's going on here?
I mean, we have constant references to the original movie. At one point, the dream world makes it where, like, Heather Langenkamp is Nancy again, and John Saxon is her dad again, and they're pretty much playing their characters. Like, especially John Saxon, which was actually pretty fucking awesome.
Oh, man, he's a bad motherfucker, dude.
Yeah, and he was badass in this role, playing himself and then playing his iconic role from the original movies.
What's funny is it goes back to that one scene at the end where they're calling each other, like, where she's calling him, like, John. He's like, why are you calling me John?
Yeah, they reference that. It's like, why are you calling me John,
and
Nancy?
He sees the gun, and then she sees the gun and the badge, and then the TV's playing from the first movie, right?
Yeah,
it's like what's going on here? Like,
yeah, it actually dives into the original movie itself in order to set up its horror set pieces.
I was lost right there, you know.
Yeah, and it actually has an ending, which, you know, spoiler alert, everybody, an ending that I don't know really makes a whole lot of sense. Like, it ends with Heather Langenkamp in her son's room, surrounded by a bunch of toys and, you know, toy castles and everything. And she's reading the original script from the first Nightmare on Elm Street movie to her kid, which I'm not sure what the point of that was. But I think that in a way, you could kind of see the seeds for Scream being planted here a little bit, right?
Yeah, because it's like mid-90s, right, with Scream, dude. So
yeah, but Scream itself was a meta-narrative on slasher movies and on horror movies in general.
Exactly.
And this right here was just a meta-narrative on Nightmare on Elm Street itself and the franchise itself.
I got confused, dude. I was like, was it a dream the whole time? I'm like, what's going on? Because of the fade out, right? When she's reading the script, right?
Yeah, it could have been a dream the entire time, but then again, I don't know. Maybe that just makes it even more convoluted somehow.
It's kind of like fade out, and then it goes straight to black, and then credits. So it's like, I guess it's left up to the imagination, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, Heather Langenkamp does a good job playing herself, and even briefly reprising her role as Nancy in the end.
Oh, gorgeous as she is.
Oh yeah, she was very gorgeous in this movie, and she still is to this day.
Hope you're listening to our podcast.
Oh yeah, that'd be awesome. Hey, Miss Langenkamp.
Hello.
Hi. How are you doing? Yeah, but anyway, what do you think about the kills in this movie, Robert? There's some interesting kills that actually kind of allude to the original movie. Like there's even a wall splatter upside down effect that's used.
Just like the original.
Yeah, just like the original. That happens to the babysitter Julie, who I swear I almost thought was Juliette Danielle from The Room. Yeah, I almost thought that was her for a second. Just you know, a little slimmed up.
The kills were unique because of the animatronic hand, right? The glove.
Oh, yeah. That was really interesting, where the glove just kind of came to life and started killing people. And at first it's a dream, but then it actually happens to Heather Langenkamp's husband.
Yeah, I feel like this was a movie with so many dream sequences and that you kind of got confused and you couldn't really tell what was happening, you know?
And it's interesting how earthquakes play a part in this movie.
Yeah.
Like there's at least 2 or 3 of them.
And then the aftershocks.
Yeah.
I guess the aftershock caused the claws on the wall from Freddy's or something.
Yeah. And that was a really, really clever allusion to Freddy and his claws and everything. And I think that even on the newscast after the earthquake, you know, the little seismograph chart that they use behind their little news logo, it almost looks like a bunch of claws coming up. You know, it kind of cuts off in a way where it looks like claws. So there's a lot of allusions to the original Nightmare. There's a lot of allusions to Freddy in the background if you really look at it. And of course, you have Robert Englund and Wes Craven playing themselves, which was also really interesting. And it shows them being disturbed by phone calls and nightmares as well.
Just the Freddy character getting out of the script and not Robert Englund, really.
Yeah, it's just another entity altogether.
Yeah, this is a little weird.
And that's why it's kind of cool that they did bring back, creepy Freddy instead of campy Freddy here.
I really didn't like the glove. The glove or the makeup too much, really. I don't know.
Yeah, the makeup in this movie was a little questionable. I mean, kudos to them making Freddy look a little more demonic than, because you have to remember, this isn't actually Freddy Krueger.
Yeah.
This is this entity that's taken the form of Freddy Krueger by way of narrative.
And that claw looked like, what did that claw look like?
It looked like a Terminator 2 robot arm.
Or like Lord Zed from the Power Rangers.
Yeah, Lord Zed from the Power Rangers.
It was a Lord Zed hand with the fucking claws on it.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, when her husband was working on it, it was a work in progress, but even so. But Robert, what are your final thoughts on New Nightmare?
I've only really watched it a few times, and now that you see the special effects are a little cheesy, it's a little corny, and I kind of think Wes Craven could have done a little better job. God rest his soul. Yeah,
God rest his soul. And unfortunately, this was his last take on the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise.
I actually wish we could get in a Q&A with him and ask him about like the Nightmare, or ask him about this final one.
Yeah, I know, man, but unfortunately, we never will.
Because I'm left a little stumped. I'm like, what to think?
Yeah, it's not the most coherent plot, honestly. I mean, the script, it tries to do a little too much, honestly, sometimes.
Yeah.
But it also does a good job in other ways. And, I mean, I do like the more demonic Freddy, and I do like Heather Langenkamp in this movie. She is just a delight. And same with Englund and Craven. But it's a movie that was better when I originally saw it many years ago, but now it just hasn't aged well. Some of the acting that isn't, the main 3 or 4 characters from Nightmare.
Exactly.
It's like, it's just kind of off. Like, the little kid is awful.
Oh, the Pet Sematary kid.
Oh, I am so sorry. That kid is awful.
We'll call him Haley Joel Osment.
Yeah, that's why we call him a Haley Joel. That's what he is. He's a Haley Joel.
Maybe Haley Joel before Haley Joel, or
Haley Joel before Haley Joel.
Maybe at the same time,
Yeah, something like that.
I don't know. One of the creepy kids.
It's worth at least maybe renting, or if you see it on streaming, watch it once. But, I mean, don't expect the most coherent Nightmare on Elm Street plot ever. I mean, this movie in many ways made, like, Dream Child look more coherent.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and that's not saying much.
Mm-mm.
Anyway, we're going to go ahead and wrap this episode up here. We just wanted to go ahead and talk about these last few movies real quick. Robert, final thoughts on the entire franchise?
Love the franchise. Love the first 4 films.
Mm-hmm.
And, try to watch them in order if you can. I don't know.
Yeah, try to find the box sets or the little 4-packs.
Actually, you want to watch them in order. I watched them out of order. I still had fun with it, though. I don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there was a reboot, but we're going to talk about that on another episode, I think. I think that maybe next episode we should do a review of it.
Oh, the reboot? We were just looking at the clips on YouTube. Right?
Yeah, some of the clips looked interesting, but,
They're a little bit darker, too, kind of.
Yeah, it's a darker Freddy.
Kind of like.
Definitely.
Kind of like part 2, but dark as hell, dude. Yeah.
But I feel like we need to watch that movie and actually kind of get into it a little bit.
It's like part 1 and 2, but darker.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get into that.
Yeah. But anyway, do you have anything to plug, Robert?
Just Collateral Cinema, Collateral Gaming.
Oh, yeah, Collateral Cinema, Collateral Gaming. Yeah, you
can friend us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
Yeah, and you can also find us wherever you get your podcasts, namely Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and YouTube. And also, check out our Patreon. We have $1 and $5 tiers and full feature-length movie commentaries as well. And we will have more content coming very soon there. And also, look for new merchandise coming very soon. We have some T-shirts that are pretty interesting. If you've watched any kind of live stream with Ash, he's been wearing the T-shirts. So
hopefully,
yeah, hopefully we'll have that out very soon.
Hopefully we can get a raffle or something going.
But with all of that said, I'm Bo Maddox.
I'm Robert Oregon.
And this was the director's cut. Check out our upcoming episode on Old Fashioned for the new episode of Collateral Cinema. We are going to tear that movie a new asshole. Laters, y'all. Collateral Cinema is a Collateral Media podcast. All music and movie clips are owned by their respective creators and are used for educational purposes only. Please don't sue us. We're poor.